It's the Joseph Bristol Show.
Make sure you like and subscribe.
Make sure you like and subscribe.
Welcome to another episode of the Joseph Bristol Show. Alright, so on today's episode, I just want to give basically like a news update of all the different news that's been going on in the world over the last week. Right, so it's a couple things in the news that I heard that I figure, maybe we're not all thinking about it. Maybe it's not something that's on everybody's mind, but it's something that I think we should, or a couple things that I think we should all really, keep in our minds. We got the 2020 governor's race that just ended. Basically, Democrats all over the nation, there was a lot of governor races, and Democrats basically won out a lot of the seats, a lot of the governorships, essentially is what it's called. And reason why this is important is every 10 years they do redistricting, which is basically gerrymandering. And for those who don't know, gerrymandering is basically rigging the system so that you will get majority of the votes, essentially. It's a whole long thing. They got a bunch of videos on it explaining what gerrymandering is. And that was a horrible explanation that I gave, but it was a very brief and simple one. Okay, so then the other couple more things. I also got a Stadia. I don't know if I mentioned that before. I don't think I did. I mentioned that on my last video. Actually, I looked at the last video and you could see the controller in the sitting on my bed. I gotta start doing something about the background, but whatever, it don't matter. Essentially what matters is the things that I'm saying. So Stadia. I got a Stadia. I got the Founders Edition, so it came with Destiny 2 and Samurai Showdown, and as free games, and I just been playing it. I'm gonna make a review on the Stadia probably maybe next week. I'm not 100% sure, but maybe next week I'll make a video on the Stadia and my experience with it. It's not that bad, but my gamer tag is Joseph R. Bristol. If you got a Stadia, catch me on it. Impeachment talk about impeaching the president of the United States, and as well as everything happening with the Ukraine and the Russia investigation and all that good jazz. Earlier on this week, the FBI released a report basically about, the Inspector General released a 400 plus page report for why the FBI opened up an investigation to watch members of Donald Trump's presidential campaign. And the Inspector General found there were 17 errors in the FBI's report. Basically, the FBI made 17 mistakes in obtaining the lawful right to investigate members of Donald Trump's campaign. So, William Barr, who we all know is a guy who is a Donald Trump supporter, he is the Inspector General. William Barr asked John Durham, who's a U.S. Attorney General, to investigate the investigation of the FBI's investigation. Okay, so for those who don't know why Donald Trump is being, basically he's about to be impeached. The Democrats want to impeach him. And at first, the way impeachment goes is you have to draw up articles. So your articles are reasons why you are impeaching the president. And then those articles got to get passed by the Congress. And then once those are passed, then it goes to the Senate, who has a long, basically a court hearing where they then decide whether or not if he's guilty or not. But the Senate is ran by Republicans who will ultimately not impeach this guy. And for impeachment or not for impeachment, it doesn't change what brought us to this moment, what brought us here. It doesn't change the underlying problem with our country. The huge wage gap, the racism, the police brutality. There's a lot of issues that Donald Trump didn't really bring. He didn't make these issues. these issues already been there. He just brought them more to the forefront. He emboldened a lot of white people. But basically, the impeachment, what it's for those who don't know, Donald Trump is being looked at for impeachment because he held back aid from the Ukraine, which is a country. So the president of Ukraine, they've been getting beat up by the Russians and they needed some help. And America said that we would help them. And Donald Trump was like, yo, son, I'm not helping y'all unless you look into this guy, Joe Biden's son. Because Joe Biden's son was working at an oil company in Ukraine. So Donald Trump, basically was like, yo, son, look into this guy for me. And then I'm going to go ahead and let the aid run through. Issue with that is, of course, you can't necessarily do that. Not like that. The problem isn't that you can't do that. The problem is that he wanted him to look into a political rival. That's the problem. Because countries do it all the time. I'm not going to help you unless you stop going to war with these people. Or I'm not going to give you this unless you buy our goods. Or I'm not going to do this unless you do that. We do it all the time. Everybody does it. That's just how life works. But you can't say, yo, I'm not going to help your country because you're not helping me. Specifically, that's not what the president is supposed to do, and that's the problem. That's where the impeachment comes in. I got an audio clip of me talking about it. These audio clips that you hear is literally me hearing a news story and then immediately reacting. So I guess what I'm saying is it's more of a raw, emotional, immediate kind of reaction, as opposed to a lot of times when I make my videos, this is more of me sitting down, thinking about it for a couple of days and, running through scenarios and then talking about it. So take it with a grain of salt. And with that being said, I'm making my video and then I'm going to put in the audio clips that I made like days ago into the video. So I'm not even going to add reaction to whatever it is that I said, no matter what I said, because I know I probably been to say some stuff and I know I want to say something because of what I said. But I guess I'm just adding this in there because I know how the internet love to attack people and you're this and you're that. I'm none of those things. You watch my videos, you know I love everybody and I think everybody has a human right to live. But there are things that need to be said and looked at. They impeached Bill Clinton for, cheating on his wife with the secretary because he was president and she wasn't, and they ain't even impeached Donald Trump, who is the president and was sleeping with the porn star, and they ain't impeached this man. And to me, that's kind of crazy.
You heard Aung San Suu Kyi's testimony. She argued that the legal case was incomplete and misleading. She was asked whether she would acknowledge any violence against the Rohingya, and she said it couldn't be ruled out that disproportionate force may have been used in some instances. And then she said this.
If war crimes have been committed by members of Myanmar's defense services, they will be prosecuted through our military justice system in accordance with Myanmar's constitution.
So she's saying, let's not make this an international matter. Let
it has
Myanmar
to be
handle it ourselves.
Nope.
What do you make of that argument?
Nope, we don't do that.
The case here is not just about 2017 and 2016 clearance operation. It's about systematic policies and practices that has been introduced against the Rohingya populations just because who they are. The policies and practices of genocidal act were there since the beginning, since 1995 or even before that. So we're not talking just about excessive use of force. It's systemic use of force and systemic.
We don't do that when a group of people, when any person in power kill off their own people, international courts intervene. That's how it's always been.
What would justice look like for the Rohingya in this case?
What we want is this outcome from this court will lead to the actual punishment of the perpetrators of genocide and impunity, cycles of impunities by the military in Myanmar. And we all hope that it will lead to the substantial policies reform and preventions of genocide in Myanmar, as well as it will lead to the restoring all the rights, including citizenship rights and all other civil and political rights of the Rohingya, including safe and secure and dignified return of the refugees to their places of origin, to their villages.
Something as basic as that. The people want to be able to get back and live a normal life like every other citizen in the country. And still yet they gotta fight for that.
NPR News, I'm Noel King.
You know, let the international court intervene.
The ability
if they
of
was gonna do it, if they was gonna prosecute the military for their crimes against the Rohingya people, against the national people that lived there, they would have already done it. But they didn't do that. You know why they didn't do that? Because they don't plan on doing it. Because they don't want to do it. Because they don't care. So no, let the international court step in and prosecute the people. So then we got the naval shooting. So earlier on this week, there was a shooting at a naval base by a Saudi Air Force guy. His name really don't matter. And mass shooters, we don't say their name. To hell with that. But right. So the Saudi Air Force guy shot the place up, and immediately they hit him with this terrorist. Oh, he's a terrorist. The reason why I'm saying something about it is because when you look at all the times that these other people been shooting up the place, they not hitting them with this terrorism thing. It's important. These white boys, man, they shooting up the place and they not getting charged with terrorist acts. They not immediately coming out and labeling their actions as terrorism. You know what I mean? As domestic terrorists. And that is, to me, a problem. Not just for... It's just a problem. Everybody has to be treated the same. Everybody has to be looked at the same. That's the same thing with the guy who, shot up the place in New York. And they were saying he anti-Semite. He don't like the Jews. He don't like the Jews because he shot up the place. Immediately they hit him with the terrorist thing. But again, these white dudes, they shot up black churches. They target black people. They target Spanish people. They target Hispanic people. Hispanic and Spanish are not the same. I just learned that too, for those who don't know that. But Google it and you'll find out what I'm talking about. But nonetheless, whenever people are targeted, then yes, we should label the attacker as a terrorist. And it's just sad that anytime white people do something like that, we don't label them as terrorists. We find mental health issues and all kinds of stuff to protect them, and that is a part of the problem in our country. So we have to talk about these things in order to change these things. That has an audio clip to it too. I'm gonna go ahead and drop that. And look at the terrorism. So these white boys shoot the place up. They shoot up schools. They shoot up everything, these white boys, and they don't charge them with an act of terrorism. This Arab dude who shot up the synagogue, I'm not saying he didn't like the Jews, but what I am saying is, if these white boys shoot up black churches, black people, and they don't charge them with terrorism, even though clearly these white boys got a problem with black people, no, they don't charge them with that. But this one Arab dude get up all of a sudden, he shoot up a synagogue, and it's anti-Semitism, and he hate the Jews, and it's a terrorist act. All the white people jump up quick. Protecting the Jews, man, this stuff not right, and nobody wants to hear it. But this is the kind of stuff that caused Hitler to rise to power. The protection of a select group of people over another. The act of saying that the rest of you don't matter, and these people who are elite, these people matter more than you. So we will ensure their safety, their protection, their money is safeguarded, while the rest of you have nothing. This is the fear of the elite, that the poor will rise up, that the poor will see how y'all treating us, and they're gonna rebel. They're not gonna like that. It's a lawsuit right now out. 14 females were in prisons, and 7 of them are still incarcerated, and they got lawsuits out against the correctional facilities because the guards was sexually assaulting them, hurting them sexually. And Marco Rubio, senator or governor, I believe he's a senator, I don't even know, but Marco Rubio, I gotta look it up. I really should do my research before I even start making these videos. That's another thing. I'm working on all that. But in order for me wanting to do these things, it extends the amount of videos that I can put out at any given time. So for me to produce these videos that I've been pumping out on a weekly basis, even though I haven't been sticking to the weekly thing, I can do that because it's just me editing, and so it's a lot easier. If I had a team, then yeah. we could do more higher quality videos and they would be more consistent and so on and so forth. But you know, I'm working on putting together the team. But let's get back to the news. Guards sexually assaulting these people. The reason why I'm bringing this up is I think that this goes into the fact that certain jobs have to be for certain people. Gender is important, but it's not important in the sense that male gynecologists, come on, man, let the women do that. You know, certain plastic surgeries should be done by females and others should be done by males. You know, certain jobs, yes, the gender should matter. Men should do this, women should do that, so that we can protect the women and we can protect the men. A female jail facility, yeah, men can work there, but they should be working maybe in the offices, maybe cleaning up the trays as a cafeteria person. They shouldn't be the guard who walks alone with a female inmate down halls, stretches of halls where there aren't other people. He shouldn't be, you know, the male guard to go grab a female inmate and take her into room whatever, where in 30 minutes another guard is gonna come and then the visit happens. No, bro, that's 30 minutes that this guy is alone with this girl who's incarcerated, who technically has no rights, because when you're in jail they treat you like you're some trash, like you're nothing. So you complain and you cry out about injustice and they brush you off. So those people should be protected. And how do we protect those people? By ensuring that the jobs that would put people in a position of power to hurt another person aren't given to people who can hurt them in a way more severe than the other. So yeah, there could be a female guard who could also sexually assault female inmates, but the likelihood is a little less. So now we're looking at the numbers, we're running the numbers. It's a little less, and then if you look at how the impact of it mentally later on down the line could be a little less, because you know, another female with another female, she may not get pregnant depending on how the sexual assault occurred, as opposed to a man raping her, she's more likely to be pregnant if the man is potent, blah blah blah. These are things that I think that we should think about when we put people in the jobs, into positions. And it's not just guards, you know, police positions, nursing positions, every kind of job that we have, we need to think about who is it that we're putting in these positions to do these jobs. If people are afraid of, like, well, you know, if you take out certain people at the table, then, you know, how do we know that diversity and change is going to come? It'll still occur, because the people who are at the table know that these other people are not at the table because of the danger that could be presented if these people were at the table. So how can we allow these people at the table and still yet allow us to maintain a position of power to protect ourselves? And that would be what we would be doing and working toward. China cutting off software from US companies, and they want to do it in like 3 years. You're talking Microsoft, Dell, Intel, HP, and basically they want to make their own software and cut out all American companies. This is a huge deal, because if they start doing that, if they're actually able to do it, that puts China in a position of real global dominance and power. And China is a totalitarian regime, which basically means that they don't allow their people any kind of real freedom or human rights. And if a bully is the principal of a school, then you can only imagine how the teachers and the students have to live in that school. The bully is China, the school is the world. Oh, then, you know, we got a little bit of good news. The federal government, who is the largest employer in the United States, has finally, Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney. Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney has been fighting for 20 years for parental leave for federal employees. And just recently, the Senate Defense Bill passed this week, and within it is a rule that says that federal employees are to be given 12 weeks paid parental leave. And if the federal government is starting to do it, then you know what that means. It's got to trickle down. We can force states to make it a law to force employers to allow parental leave. You should get paid parental leave. If you have a baby, you should be allowed to spend time with your baby, your newborn baby. You should be allowed to spend time with that baby and still get paid from your job, because I'm still an asset to the company. I've been here for this long. I've provided assets. I've made you people money, and you're gonna tell me that my outside life means nothing? I have a baby. I don't have the ability to spend some time with my newborn baby. Come on, be serious. So glad the federal government did that. Just like minimum wage forced states to federal minimum wage forced states to turn around and have to create their own minimum wage. That's the same thing that should happen here. States should now turn around and make it a normal thing for all jobs to do it, not just federal jobs, but make it so that if you're an employer in the state of Florida, specifically because I live in Florida, if you're an employer in the state of Florida, you should have to give us parental leave so that we can spend time with our children, our newborn children. Come on. All right, and then of course all the links to the websites that I get my information from will be in the description. I'm talking about Vox, Seeker. I listen to NPR. I'm going to go ahead and leave their links in the description. You can look up anything I've mentioned. If you basically if you search for it in their website, you will be able to find articles and news stories that I listened to or that I read that caused me to say the things that I'm talking about here. So with that being said, they were talking about machine learning and creating videos that are basically deep fakes, tricking people into thinking that something was said when it really wasn't. So it's like videos where somebody's face, like Barack Obama's face, but he's saying something that he didn't actually say. You know what I mean? And you have those kind of things, and it was a huge thing when there was like porn videos of famous people, but it wasn't actually them. It was just deep fake videos. So that's become something that it was talked about because they're afraid that basically people will become afraid of the news. People will think that it's fake news. Everything is fake news. Nothing is real. What's real? What is the news? And I don't know how much we should really worry about that. They were saying that we're far away from that. Like, we have software that can detect these videos, but at the same time that they're making better videos to beat the software that can detect them, the software isn't so advanced that it can just completely trick people. Like, it's not completely, fail proof. Like, you can figure it out. So to me, I don't think deep fake videos is really something that we should stress ourselves about right now, but it is something that we should pay attention to. So when you're watching these videos, these news clips, when you're getting this information online, you have to consider, is this a real information? And then you look for other pieces of information to come together to tell you that what you just saw is real information and it is true. Check the marketplace, healthcare marketplace. I think everybody should do that to compare and contrast their own healthcare against the government's options, and I think we should all do that because this is how we keep healthcare competitive. The price is competitive, because if they know that you're searching and you might leave, then they know, okay, we need to adjust our prices because people are leaving, people are going other places, and we don't want to lose that business.
Julio Ochoa has been following the story, and he joins us with more.
About 33% of the state's uninsured could gain coverage by signing up for a bronze plan through the marketplace. Federal subsidies would cover the monthly premiums for the high deductible plans.
And then there's been a lot of sex scandals popping off, right? So I was on Instagram the other day, 50 Cent. I like following 50 Cent, even though Ja Rule is still like my top favorite rap artist of all time. But whatever, I'm not debating his skills. I'm just for me and the words that he was saying. But whatever. So I follow 50 Cent on Instagram, and he posted something that really had me thinking, and I had to really look into it and be like, you know what, this guy's right. He was talking about how Oprah got documentaries on these sex guys, these guys who've been arrested for sex scandals. You know what I mean? But she making all the documentaries on the black men who've been arrested, but not the white men who got arrested for sex scandals. And I thought about it, I was like, oh snap, let me look into that. Matter of fact, what's up with these dudes? So I got an audio clip when I thought about it and it crossed my mind, so you guys can listen to that again. You know what I mean? That's just my thoughts and opinion on it. Sexual harassment scandals that be popping off. They locked up Bill Cosby, put him in jail. Jeffrey Epstein claimed the man dead. He didn't claim the man killed himself, but he didn't kill himself. They killed him because he was going to tell on everybody. Kevin Spacey, the movie star, touching up on the boys at the parties and things like that. He ain't go to jail. Weinstein, the movie star, he ain't go to jail. Well, he bonded out of jail, but they jacked up his bond, but he's still free. He don't even wear the ankle monitor. That was one of the things that the lawyers was complaining about, that this guy, he don't even wear the ankle monitor like he's supposed to, so that they could track him. Nope, he ain't in jail. R. Kelly sitting in jail. Yeah, he had a bond, he bonded out, but then they turned around, locked him up. Told him he can't bond out. You don't get no bond. But these white people, they letting them out. The only way to fix these things is to confront these things. We have to talk about it. It has to be talked about. Trauma can only be fixed when it's talked about. It's just that simple. And you have to release your emotions. They release their emotions, and you talk, and you just come to a resolution to better love each other. But it has to be talked about. Kentucky Governor, Republican Matt Bevin, granting pardons to all kinds of criminals, child molesters and rapists and all kinds of stuff, people he pardoned before he left office. And the reason why this is a thing is because the pardons that he was given was like, people were looking like, oh my gosh, why would he pardon that guy? You know what I mean? So now they're looking to put in laws to stop governors' abilities to grant pardons before they leave office. And that's something that we here in Florida should really look into, because if it happened in Kentucky, it could happen anywhere, and so we need to look into that, or basically have our politicians write up bills to. Then I was listening to another story talking about mass shootings. Oh man, this thing was crazy. Which mass shootings is defined as 4 or more people being shot and or killed at an event, or at any one given moment. So if 4 or more people are shot or killed, then it's considered a mass shooting. And there have been over 400 of these things since January 1st, 2019. So the year hasn't even ended, and there are more than 400 mass shootings and more than 400 events all over the United States. There have been times when 4 or more people have been shot and or murdered. Stop and think about that. Then what really got to thinking was, when these shootings happen, not just at the mass shootings when people die, but just when a shooting occurs, pop, gunshots are popped off, it's a big shootout close to a school or by a school, that causes the school to go into lockdown. The school goes into lockdown 5, 10, 30, 45 minutes. You're talking about students hiding under desks, students having to hide in closets, students basically like their minds are like, oh my gosh, I could die today. I could get shot. I'm here at school and I could die. And it's like, that stuff plays an effect emotionally on our children, and we have to really think about what we're doing to our kids, because these kids are going to grow into the adults who will take over the planet. They're going to be the ones who clean us when we're old. They're going to be the politicians to put in the laws and all that stuff. Like, our children are our future, and we have to really think about what we're doing when we have these school lockdowns going on. We have, mass shooting training at jobs. We're teaching people how to hide from shooters at a job. You know what I mean? Like, and I understand it's the reality of our world, but we have to think about ways that we can reduce this, we can help this, we can fix this. And these mass shootings, maybe it's a race thing. Maybe a group of people are really angry and that's making them lash out against another group of people. And so we need to go ahead and talk this thing out and figure this thing out, because we're literally damaging and hurting our future. Democratic debates is Thursday, December 19th, 8 p.m. So, I'm going to try to give it a listen and watch it if I don't listen to it, because I want to make a video on the debates. Well, not the debates, but the candidates. Andrew Yang is really nice, but his $1,000 a month means that you lose your food stamps and Medicaid and HUD housing. And I like Elizabeth Warren, but she's too flippy floppy. Love me some Bernie Sanders. Definitely don't think Joe Biden should do it. No more old white men. That's really why I haven't been pushing Bernie like that. Love me some Bernie, but not really into the old white men kind of thing. Glad Kamala Harris dropped out. Boo. You was locking up your own people, and I hate the way it sounds, but she married a white man. And then you got, who else we got? Oh, Cory Booker. That's a light-skinned black dude. Okay, I kind of like him, but I don't, I gotta see more what he talking about. I gotta see his rules. So, and then Pete Buttigieg, this the gay guy, the slim young gay guy, pretty cool dude. I kind of like him, but again, I gotta see his policies. I gotta see what they talking about. It's important. See what they talking about. I don't really judge the people. I kind of judge the people, but I'm more about the policies. I would have went for Kamala Harris depending on her policies, but her policies wasn't good. Her personal life wasn't good to me. Her personal decisions wasn't good to me. So your policy bad, your personal decisions bad. Oh no, you ain't got my vote. And I'm going to tell other people not to vote for you, because that's the way politics works. That's the way this whole thing works. And then the last thing, Sabrina Fulton, mother of Trayvon Martin, is running for Miami County Commissioner. Let's focus on that and not Zimmerman suing their family. This lady's running for a position of public power. Let's empower her and focus on that. Not this guy Zimmerman and his lawsuit because he broke. Come on, people. Come on. And with that being said, there's a lot of other news stories, but as you can see, this video is mad long. It was a lot of news stories that I felt like I really wanted people to just keep in mind and think about. And I'm going to try to drop videos more often. They're going to be more unorthodox, kind of like this. Kind of like how I used to do when I would just be walking and make a video and then upload it. I'm going to start doing more like that and just segment it in a way. Because ultimately what I really wanted to do was start more of a subscription thing on my website, josephbristol.com. Yes, that was a shameless plug. I want to start more of a subscription where you would get the full video on the website along with discounts for the store and up-to-date information on me and Joseph R. Bristol LLC, and that would come through your subscription on the website. And then YouTube, I would just upload 5 to 10 minute clips from each episode onto YouTube. But all that's down the line in a couple months. For now, just check out josephbristol.com. Human Nature, Changing Faces coming soon. Gonna republish Poetic Suicide, my poetry book. I'm reworking that. I'm rewriting it and changing up certain things so that the book flows better, and the mistakes of the first one won't be in the second one, as I try to always learn from my mistakes. And new items coming soon to josephbristol.com. Gonna have some commercials coming out for my items too. I'm working on a lot of different things, man, so stay up to date. And thanks for watching another episode of the Joseph R. Bristol Show. Let's all never forget, we all out here trying to do the same thing. Just be happy and survive.